Good Tuesday morning, Pirates fans. Sorry it's a day late, but welcome to this week's edition of the BATTLIN BUCS podcast. I'm Mason Sapesky, your host. First off, as I just said, I'm sorry it's a day late. Obviously, I had mentioned last week we're going to do it on Monday. I just forgot last night. I just was in a rhythm. I went to my pool, swam for a little, or floated on our pool chair. We have one of those floatable pool chairs for our pool, and so I floated on that for a while, took a nap, because I had to wake up early for a summer class that I'm taking. And then I came inside. The Bachelorette, which is actually one of my favorite TV shows, funny I say that, was on. So I just watched that. Totally forgot about this. It's just, I hated the way they set this up this weekend. And I know they did it for a couple other series. Like earlier in the year when the Padres played the Braves, they did it. And the Cardinals and the Nationals series had the same thing. They start on a Friday and end on a Monday. I'm sorry, I just don't like that. I mean, the series are supposed to be from Friday to Sunday. If you want to start early, start on Thursday, not Friday and end on Monday. It's just, sorry about that. I'm typically used to filming Sunday nights, and I'm not in a rhythm to do this podcast on a Monday night, so I just totally blew it off till this morning when I remembered it's finally time to do it. So I'm just gonna, like we do every week, talk about the past week in Pirates baseball. Then we'll take a look at the MLB standings, and we'll preview this next couple series, a Midwest road trip to Milwaukee and Chicago, but we'll talk about that more at the end. First things first, I just want to make a couple housekeeping public service announcements. Congratulations first off to Bryan Reynolds and Paul Skeens. They've both had amazing seasons, and they are both very deserving of going to the All-Star game. So I am so excited for both of them. There's been talk about Paul Skeens starting. I hope he does start because he truly is amazing. I mean, he's truly one that puts the team above himself, and Paul Skeens is going to be a Pittsburgh Pirate for a long time, I hope and pray. So congratulations to Paul. He's truly awesome. And he has a pretty awesome girlfriend too, by the way. Just had to say that. Thought I had to say that because if you guys didn't already know by now, I am an LSU sports fan. That's actually my second favorite college behind Pitt. So it's pretty amazing that they are both LSUers. And believe it or not, I didn't even know who Livy Dunn was until I was a senior in high school, and somebody in my college writing class had mentioned it to me. We were just talking, we were writing stuff, coming up with ideas, and sports just came up, and I mentioned I'm an LSU fan too on the side because this person was a Clemson fan, and I mentioned on the side, I'm an LSU fan, and then he's like, oh, you know Livy Dunn then? And I'm like, no, I don't actually. So that was funny about that, so I figured that would be a pretty interesting story to put out there. So, yeah, that's that for that. Now you guys all know. So, anyway, yeah, congrats to Paul Skeens. Bryan Reynolds, he's just amazing. He's the anchor of this lineup. I mean, 26 game hit streak? That's pretty phenomenal. I mean, that's not normal. So, he's truly gone above and beyond. And, yeah, congratulations to Bryan. There's one thing, though, that I believe Paul Skeens and Bryan Reynolds don't have, but I believe that they should be getting. The ability to play on a competitive baseball team that makes deep postseason runs, year in and year out. Now, you could say that about every All-Star. You could say that about, hang on, Garrett Crochet, pitcher for the White Sox. His team's 41 games under 500. You could say Garrett Crochet deserves to be on a winning team, year in and year out. Well, then trade him, because you're pretty bad. You could say Ryan McMahon, Colorado Rockies, deserves to be on a winning team. The Rockies right now are, I'm sorry, I didn't have my thing up. 27 games under. Trade him. Just like we did. Back in 2021, when we were really bad, our All-Stars were Adam Frazier and Reynolds. Frazier was amazing. Guess what we did? We traded him, and he's stunk ever since. So probably just a product of the Pirates. But anyway, those teams, the White Sox and the Rockies, and other teams like them, you could say Miami, Oakland, the Angels, are so, under that they're just starting their rebuilds. We are 5 games under, or 4 games, under 500. We didn't just start our rebuild. This is year 5. You're wasting Reynolds and Skeens' careers. I mean, Reynolds is extended for another 7-8 years, I think. I just want to confirm that he was 2030. So he's going to be here a little while, which is good. Oh, sorry, I was just reading something. I thought something else had happened, but sorry, I just get those notifications on my phone, so I was just looking at it, and it said it's from WTAE, former U.S. Senator Jim Inhofe has died, so rest in peace to Jim Inhofe. I'm sorry, I was totally caught off guard there, so yeah, I just saw somebody died, and when I see that, it just catches me off guard there a little bit, so rest in peace to Senator Inhofe. But anyway, back to the conversation. This team is close to competing. You only are going to have so long with these guys. So it's time to do something. And that means no more of these short contracts that have failed us like Grandal. Time to go out there and do something. And support these guys. And get them the playoff berths they deserve. We're close. We're a fun team to watch. If we get out of our heads and stop doing the stupid things, we will be competitive sooner rather than later. And I wouldn't flush the commode yet on 2024. We'll get to standings later, but we're not out of this yet. We just need to get our hitting straight. And that's all I'm going to say. So we'll talk more later, but without further ado, here we go. We're going to start recapping the first week of July, Sally. We're going to start off with July 2nd's game against the St. Louis Cardinals. We lost this game 7-4. Got really far behind. It was like a 4-0, 5-0, 6-0 game. I even turned it off, put on the Phillies and the Cubs because I'm a Cubs fan as well. But I turned on the Phillies and the Cubs for a little while just because I wanted to see them. Phillies are really good this year, so I wanted to see that game. And I did. And when Philly jumped out to like a 4-0 lead or a big lead over the Cubs because the Cubs aren't that good, I hopped back onto the Pirate game, and it was actually pretty close. So credit to the Pirates for making this interesting. Cardinals are a very good team right now, so credit to the Pirates there. I wouldn't be too upset about this loss. I mean, it stinks, obviously, but I wouldn't sweat it. This is not one to sweat. Wednesday night, the next night, was an amazing walk-off victory over the Cardinals. Cardinals jumped out to a 1-0 lead. Then later in the game, this was one of the games I actually watched. I didn't watch a whole lot on Tuesday, like I just said, but Wednesday I watched pretty in-depth, and it was actually a great game. I mean, Jared Jones, who unfortunately is on the IL right now, hopefully he gets better soon, so yeah, prayers to him. But anyway, Jared Jones. So he pitched a terrific outing. Pirates only allowed 1 run. We had a 3-1 lead late in the game. Cardinals tied it, I think, in the 9th, making it 3-3. Pirates failed to score in the 9th. In the 10th, the Cardinals, I just want to confirm that. In the 10th, the Cardinals took a 4-3 lead. And then after that, the Pirates came to the disc in the bottom of the inning and walked off the Cardinals, securing a 5-4 win, keeping themselves in the thick of things still a little longer. July 4th, Thursday, the Pirates, now on to July 4th, Thursday, the Pirates had this game. I mean, it was very close the whole game. It was like 2-2 going into the 9th, and then we went to extras, and it was like the 10th or 11th. And Selton made the decision to put Dennis Santana in. Now, God only knows why Dennis Santana would be playing the game, but that's what Selton decided, and it cost the Pirates ultimately. The Cardinals scored. It was 1-1 tied. I'm sorry. It was 1-1 because I was in my grandmother's for the 4th. And it was 1-1 tied. And Dennis Santana allowed 2 runs to make it 3-1. And then the most awesome thing happened in the bottom of the 9th. We had a 3-1 lead. Or Cardinals had a 3-1 lead. Michael A. Taylor's on second base. And let me see who it was. Let me see who this was. Sorry about that. Just want to get a player's name for you guys real quick. Here we go. Nick Gonzalez hits a sacrifice fly, or hits a fly ball, deep left field, right over by the bullpen. Cardinals catch it. Taylor on second. Taylor does something I've never seen before, and that's tag from second to home. And it's a 3-2 game. The Pirates then make some noise, get 2 men on in the 9th, in the bottom of the inning. Get men on first and second. Unfortunately, that was not enough. Pirates left them on base, and the Cardinals won the game 3-2. Friday night the 5th, we began our 4-game series with the New York Mets. And it began with a ton of fireworks. The real fireworks were meant for the day after the 4th of July, said the Pirates, as they exploded for 14 runs. You heard that right. 14 runs. Reynolds, Santana, they just couldn't stop hitting. Paul Skeens pitched a gem on the pitching side, but the hitting side was what rocked the stadium. In fact, they actually ran out of fireworks, if you guys saw that. That was pretty darn awesome, that game, I mean. But it also, the 14-2 win Friday night pegs the question, why can't we do this every night? Again, nobody should expect the Pirates to score 14 runs every night. Heck, even the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Guardians, the Orioles, even they can't do that. But you could at least do it more than like twice a year. I mean, this offense showed what it's worth. So, that was definitely a great win for sure. Definitely good to beat a team like the Mets, for sure. And I was thrilled by this. So, good win, good night, good everything. Saturday, I kind of felt like after the 14-run outburst that things would calm down. And surely enough, they did, as the Pirates lost 5-2 to the New York Mets on Saturday the 6th. Definitely a tough loss for the Pirates for sure. This was definitely a game that we could have won. I mean, we sort of swept the Mets. We'll get into Sunday more in a couple minutes. But here's the deal, and here's what upset me Saturday. I actually went to this game. Unfortunately, there will not be a video because we got there a little late. And yeah. So traffic was hectic. I mean, it was the 4th of July weekend. Big game. Hawaiian shirt giveaway. Over on downtown was AmferCon, which was the furry convention, so that was pretty interesting for sure. I mean, it was just a busy weekend between the 4th, the game, the furry festival, all these crazy things that were going on. So it was definitely hectic. We left at 1:30. We live about an hour, 45 minutes, an hour to the southeast of the city, and it took us. We left at 1:30. I had to make run a couple errands real quick. But after that, we got in our car at like 3 o'clock, 3:10 to get down there. It's typically in Monroe. The errands were in Monroeville, a town called Monroeville, which is about half hour from PNC. Typically 30 minutes. It was definitely not 30 minutes. It took like 45, 50 minutes just because of North Shore traffic. It was hectic. I actually think there were more people at the game Saturday than opening day. Let's check. But I was there opening day, as you probably could tell by the video by now that's up. But that's something that was curious because it definitely seemed more crowded than opening day. 36,009. Almost sold out. Opening day was 38,000 for... Oh, opening day was actually more crowded. Certainly didn't feel like it. Maybe because it was a city weather day, but I don't know. But it's definitely good to see attendance is up. I mean, it shows that people have faith in this team again and that this team is awfully close, and I do truly believe that. They need to go all... If this year does not work out, which I have a feeling it's not going to, on the plane ride home from New York City, because we play the Yankees the last weekend of the year, they need to start figuring out how we're going to be a competitor in 2025 and how we're going to build a team like the one we just played against, that being the New York Yankees. So, yeah. I mean, if we don't get it this year, which I know we do, and it's because of games like Saturday. I mean, 2 times, second inning, I think in the 7th, we left the bases loaded. You cannot do that. I mean, if we have 2 more singles, that scores 2 runs each inning. We take a 6-5 lead. We win this game. So we could have easily swept the New York Mets. And like I said, we'll get into Sunday here very briefly. But anyway, that was awful. I mean, we should have definitely won the Mets game. I mean, the final score was no indicator of how it was, 5-2. We had chances. We just didn't take advantage of them. So that's what upsets me. So this was definitely an upsetting loss. And if you thought that Saturday was upsetting, come look at Sunday. The Pirates down, it was like, because I was out golfing and I was checking my phone while I was golfing to try to get the score. It was tied 0-0 headed into like the 7th. The Mets, was it the 7th? Let me check. Sorry, it's just usually forgetful here. 8th. Game's tied after 7. Top of the 8th, the Mets get us ahead, or the Mets take a 1-0 lead. Bottom of the 8th. Men on second and third, or bases loaded for Nick Gonzalez. Gonzalez hits one, I think, down the third base line. 2 runs come in. Pirates take a 2-1 lead. I'm in my car, I'm like all happy, screaming, beeping my horn, a whole 9 yards. Because I thought we would win this game. Until Aroldis Chapman comes in, and 40 pitches later, we're down 3-2. And Chapman was on 2 strikes, 2 outs. The Mets continued to foul him off until they just hit the ball and took the lead 3-2. And that's how it ended. This was definitely a game we should have won. These are definitely the losses that really do suck, that really do hit. And yeah, for sure. This game sucked. There's no way around it. Pirates made up for it, though, yesterday, defeating the Mets by a final score of 8-2. Keller pitched an amazing gem. He's truly been amazing for us, so very glad about that. I thought yesterday was going to be more of the same old, because we had a 2-0 lead. Then the Mets hit a home run and tied it. Cruz hit a home run. We took a 2-0 lead. Then, let me check. That was Sunday. Then, Brandon Nimmo hit a home run for the Mets, tie it 2-2 in the top of the 6th. But the bottom of the 6th, our offense showed what it was worth, truly. As Rowdy got a hit on an infield single with Reynolds scoring to take a 3-2 lead. All of this is courtesy of ESPN, by the way. That's where I'm getting this. And then in the bottom of the 6th, Nick continued the offensive outburst by doubling to right field, scoring those guys. Then Gonzalez scored on a wild pitch, followed by Palacios' home run. Josh Palacios had a fielder's choice in the 8th, and the Pirates won the game 8-2. Definitely good to see that for sure. One big inning straightens the game. This is certainly how you want to win games. So very, very impressed by the way we performed yesterday. This secured a 3-4 homestand. Definitely not ideal. Definitely should have been 5-2, maybe even 6-1, but you can't sweat the small stuff. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. For sure. I mean, yeah. But the only game, because like I said, the only game I had zero problem with us losing was that first Cardinals game. Because we just fell behind, we didn't play well. And you're going to have days like that. Every team does. Even the best of teams. I mean, look at the Phillies. They've had down days. They lost a series in Colorado earlier this year. In football, look at the Chiefs. You think they had a really Merry Christmas this past year? They lost to the Raiders, who didn't even make the playoffs by like double digits. That was the game where things seemed to be unraveling, and they didn't lose a game after that. So that's interesting. Like, anyway, point of being, every team has bad days. We're going to have bad days. Tuesday night last week was a bad day. A bad day is not blowing a game because of your pitching. A bad day is not, we could have won this game, but we didn't because we didn't score the bases loaded. A bad day was not what happened Sunday. Those were games that we should have won, but we didn't win. And there's been a million of them. Looking last week when we played Atlanta, that was one. The Bednar booing game against Detroit, that was one. Here, I'll give you guys a couple more. Phillies, Saturday the 13th. I mean, they're the best team in baseball, but they weren't the best team in baseball then. We had a better record than them then, and should have won that game. Brewers, April 25th, had a lead. We blew it. Friday the 26th, couldn't score a single run, and we lost in the ninth. Rockies, Friday the 3rd, Friday, May 3rd, should have won. Angels, the 8th of May, had a lead, blew it, should have won. Mother's Day against the Cubs, had a lead, blew it, should have won. Or had the chance, blew it, should have won. Giants, both those losses to the Giants, should have won. Point being is, I mean, look, these are all winnable games. We're better than our record, and I know that, so that's all I have for that. Anyway, let's get into the standings now. Sally here. Just a quick side note, because it does relate to this. I'm actually going to save it till after, because we'll talk after. Once we review the standings, I'll tell you about the Pirates and the future and what they should do in a couple weeks. So I will say that, but yeah. Let's just look over the standings real quick first. Sally, AL East, Baltimore leads at 57-33. Yankees are in second place, 55-37, 3 games back. Boston, 49-40, 7.5 games back. Tampa Bay, 44-46, 13 back. Toronto, 41-49, 16 games back. Central, AL Central, Cleveland Guardians, they lead the division at 56-33. Minnesota Twins are in second, 52-39, 5 games back. Royals, 49-43, 8.5 games back. They're starting to fall off a little bit, unfortunately. I was hoping they'd be a playoff team, and it might not be now, so that's unfortunate. Tigers, 43-48, 14 back. White Sox in last place in not just the American League Central, but the AL and the entire league at 26-67, 32 games back. The West, the AL West, got the Mariners, 49-43. Astros are in second, 46-44. They're only 2 games back. That's kind of scary because I don't want to see them make the playoffs. Everybody's had it with Houston, haven't we? I have. Texas, 43-48, 5.5 games back. Angels, 37-53, 11 games back. And in last place, unfortunately, the Oakland A's, 34-58, 15 games back. They do seem like they're making progress off compared to last year, so that's good. NL East, Philadelphia Phillies, 58-32, the best team in baseball. They lead that division. Second place, you got the Atlanta Braves, 50-39, 7.5 back. They're headed towards probably a third consecutive NLDS matchup. That should be fun. That's what I think at least. Mets, 44-45, 13.5 back. Nationals, 42-49, 16.5 back. And in last place are the Miami Marlins, 32-58, I'm sorry, 26 back. Central Division, Milwaukee for 53-38. They lead the Central, unfortunately, because it's my least favorite team in the division. St. Louis in second, 48-42, 4.5 back. Pirates, we're in third place right now. Not bad, but not good. Stuck in the middle. If you heard of that TV show, it's definitely an interesting one, so tune in. But that's the Pirates right now. That TV show is a perfect representation of the Pirates, because that's what they are. Stuck in the middle. Not a contender, but not a sucky team. So, where does that get you? Stuck in the middle, and the division shows it. But anyway, 43-47, 9.5 back. Reds, 43-48, 10 games back. And the Cubs, 42-49, 11 games back. I was just thinking that TV show Stuck in the Middle before we move on to the NL West. That TV show is a perfect representation of Pittsburgh sports right now. Because you look at the Pirates. What are they? Stuck in the middle. Penguins. You don't want to rebuild, but we're nowhere near a contender like the teams we just saw. Florida, Edmonton, Dallas, the Rangers. So what are we? Stuck in the middle. Honestly missing the playoffs. But the perfect representation, or the perfect example of this, are the Steelers. 9-8, 10-7, every year for the past 6 years. Hopefully that changes this year with Russ and Fields at quarterback. I think Arthur Smith's fabulous. He'll do a good job, I know. And hopefully they get over that hump this year, get to 12-5, 13-4, win the division and win a playoff game. And then maybe we could elevate them out of that. But for now, seems like they're unfortunately stuck in the middle. But Russell Wilson's here to change that, so I wouldn't worry too much about them. I'd worry more about the Pirates for sure. NL West. Now it's time for the NL West. LA Dodgers, 55-36. They lead that division. Padres, 49-45, 7.5 back. Diamondbacks, 10 games back at 45-46. Giants, 44-47, 11 games back. And last place, the Rockies at 32-59, 23 games back. They currently hold the worst record in the National League. The best record in the AL belongs to Baltimore. The best record in the NL belongs to Philadelphia. So let's look at these divisions here, Sally. Every team in the AL, none of the AL divisions, it seems like, are wrapped up. Now, I'm going to take a step back in the NL. The past couple of weeks, I've said all three NL divisions, we pretty much know who's going to win. I'm going to withdraw that for the NL Central. The Cardinals are now only 4.5 back. The division race there is wide open, just like in the AL. So, it seemed like to me a couple weeks ago the Brewers were definitely going to win the division with no contest. I withdraw that statement, and because the Cardinals are back, that's an open division. But I would still hold true to say that Philadelphia and the Dodgers are most likely going to win the NL East and the NL West. That's pretty clear. So let's take a look at the wild card standings now. Sally, AL, the wild card race in the AL. The Yankees have a 4.5 game lead for the first wild card, or for the wild card. So they're the first wild card. They would take on the Minnesota Twins, who are 2 games up. So that would be your 5-4 matchup. The 6-3 matchup would be the Red Sox and the Seattle Mariners, with the Guardians and Orioles getting byes. A game and a half back are the Kansas City Royals. 3.5 back are the Astros. 5.5 back are the Rays. 7 back are the Rangers. 7 back are the Tigers. 8.5 back are the Blue Jays. 12.5 back are the Angels. 16.5 back are the A's. And 25 games back are the Chicago White Sox. So there's that. As of now, I would say only the Angels, the Athletics, and the White Sox are pretty much eliminated. Anyway, when you look at the AL postseason picture right now, there's only 3 teams to me that stand out as clearly eliminated. That's obviously the same 3 we've been saying. Angels, Athletics, and White Sox, they have no chance at the playoffs. No chance. Getting closer, though, to being there are the Rangers, Tigers, and Blue Jays. They're really close right now. We'll reassess those teams probably after the trade deadline. If any of them, though, fall 10 games below, come Sunday, we'll put them there. But, once we get, closer... Oh, by the way, just wanted to share this real quick now. that we're here. There will be no episode on Sunday, July 21st, because that's the week of the All-Star game, and it's just a free game series with Philadelphia after that. We'll talk about the Philadelphia series on July the 28th. So that'll be our next episode after Sunday, July 14th. So yeah, that's the case there. But anyway, if they after that, we'll probably lower to 8 or 9 games. So that's what we'll do there. And you'll be in that territory if you're 8 or 9 games out. And then that'll be the case for all of August. And then 6 games come September. And it'll keep decreasing. So for sure. On to the NL now. We got Atlanta with a 3.5 game lead. And they have the 4th wild card. St. Louis with a 1 game lead. They have the 5th, so those two would match up. And then the 6th seed Padres against the 3 seed Brewers would be your other matchup, with the Phillies and Dodgers having byes. Those two play tonight actually in Philly, so that will definitely be a fun series for sure. It starts tonight and it lasts till Thursday, so I can't wait for that. The other teams now, it's not as close as it was a couple of weeks ago, not as competitive, but it's still kind of competitive. So let's take a look. Diamondbacks 2.5 back. Mets 2.5 back. Giants 3.5 back. Pirates, we are 4 games back. Reds 4.5. Nationals 5.5. Cubs 5.5. Marlins 15. Rockies 15.5 games back. So the only 2 teams I think are clearly eliminated are the Marlins and the Rockies. Although I can see the way this NL has gone and the way the Cardinals and the Padres are streaking, and the Diamondbacks and the Mets, if they continue to heat up, I could see possibly putting the Cubs and Nationals into danger zone territory here pretty soon. So those are your standings. Definitely interesting. That is for sure. So, yeah, that's just how I think of it here, and yeah. So now we're going to talk about, before we preview this Midwest road trip for the Pirates this week, we're just going to talk about a couple of things. Like I said earlier, a couple more public service announcements, housekeeping stuff. Obviously, like I just mentioned, there will be no episode on Sunday, July 21st. We'll talk about the Phillies series and recap the Pirates series against the Cardinals and the Arizona Diamondbacks, all on July the 28th. That show will be filmed just 2 days before the deadline. So we'll definitely know more then. This Sunday's episode, this coming Sunday, which there will be an episode this Sunday, finally. There will be an episode, and we will be discussing the series against the Brewers and the White Sox. But we will also be looking ahead to the trade deadline for the Pirates and other teams. I will go through a bunch of teams telling you whether or not they should buy or sell, because here's how I think of it. Okay. So when you look at the calendar, this coming Sunday, July the 14th, is the last games before the All-Star break. The unofficial first half will end. We're actually already halfway through the season. We are on that downhill slope headed into the end of the year. So if you have a mountain, this is the beginning point. This is the end point. We're here. We're sloping downward, unfortunately, because baseball's fun, into the end of the season. So, we should know where we're at, and I think we do know where we're at. So, yeah, the All-Star break is, I think the All-Star break is the best time to evaluate whether or not we want to buy or sell, or stay pat. Because after that, look at who we got. The Phillies at home, which, to be honest, we're probably going to lose 2 out of 3 there. I think we'll beat them once, but we're probably going to lose 2 out of 3. Although you never know. Pirates beat good teams. The Cardinals at home, we'll probably lose 2 out of 3 there. And then in Arizona, we'll probably lose 2 out of 3 there. And then we have 1 game before the trade deadline after those 3 in Houston. And obviously this road trip this week. So when you look big picture, I wish I had my whiteboard for school now here with me, because we could do it all on there, but it's not here, unfortunately. So 43 and 4, we're just going to do it with my fingers. 43 and 47. We've got until the deadline 3, 6, 9, 12, 16 games. We'll play 6 of them this week. We have 10 games after that until the deadline. If we go 8-8 over those 16 games, then I don't know. Right now, I am thinking towards staying pat and maybe trading Martin Perez. That's the only person I'd really trade, and possibly, I probably would trade Chapman if I get a good enough of an offer, but other than those two, I think that's it. Yeah, like I've said, I think standing pat this year is the best thing. There's no need for a sell-off like we've had the past 3 years. Because number one, we don't really have anything to sell that anybody would really want. And number two, we're kind of still in the thick of things. Let's take a look at last year. The deadline last year was August the 1st. Let's see where we were going into August the 1st. We, last year, were 9 games back, 11 games under. So, yeah, it was appropriate to sell, for sure. But this year it's not, so I'd stay pat. But on Sunday night, we'll have a full discussion about that, trade deadline, and we'll talk about every team, like what they should do. Buy, sell, stand pat, probably when we do standings, and even if I even remember, so I should be able to, but we'll do that on Sunday, and then at the very end, we'll discuss some players that could possibly be on the trading block, that's for sure. And next week actually is the MLB draft, at the time we'll be filming, so maybe a little earlier. We'll film Sunday night just during the draft after the Pirates pick. So we'll have that coverage for you as well. Maybe they'll pick J.J. Weatherholt, second baseman, shortstop out of West Virginia. He's from Mars area. I don't know I think he might have went to Pine Richland, either Pine Richland or Mars. I'm not positive on that. I'm sorry, J.J., but yeah, definitely interesting for sure. He's in the number 1 pick running too. Could possibly go to Cleveland, I've heard some people say. So that's definitely interesting. We'll keep you posted on that. So next week's episode is pretty jam-packed. So next week we'll talk about this road trip. Then we'll do standings and what each team should do at the deadline. And then instead of looking ahead, we will look ahead, but we'll save that to the end. We will do the trade deadline, like which players could possibly be on the move. And then we'll look ahead to those series against the Phillies, Cardinals, and Diamondbacks. And the All-Star game, maybe. And we'll discuss the Pirates draft pick for sure. Anyway, though, but one last thing, and this is going to be a good thing for you guys. You're going to be thrilled because of this. But not during this coming episode, July the 14th, but for the July 28th episode, drum roll please, we're bringing back the playoffs chart. I don't know if I've ever done this with you guys. I know I've done it throughout the football season where I discuss each team. I did on Thursdays, my predictions episode, where I go over each team's record at the time, current record, playoff chances, like the chances they have to make a wild card spot, win their division, advance to the conference championship, or win the conference, win the Super Bowl, etc. So we'll be bringing that back for baseball, and we'll just probably do the current record, obviously I'll state. We'll do then their playoff chances, their chances to get at least the wild card spot, just get in the dance, chances to win the division, chances to advance, or chances to win the AL or NL, respectively, and their World Series probabilities. So that chart will be back starting July the 28th. So And we'll do that on this so every week until the end of the season and possibly throughout the playoffs, depending on how my school schedule is and everything. So that's pretty awesome, that's for sure. But that's starting July 28th. And on July 28th, we'll be back to our normal Sunday night time. Obviously, this week we'll be back to Sunday night, but it's the next week we have a break, no episode the 21st. But yeah, we'll continue and be more consistent. We'll get back on a continuous posting schedule Sunday nights until the end of the season, most likely. So yeah, that's definitely good, that's for sure. Anyway, one last thing here, favorite part of the week, or probably your favorite part of the episode. We're going to look ahead to the week, or look to the week ahead, however you want to word that. Definitely some interesting games, that's for sure. Starting tonight, Pirates head to Milwaukee to take on the Brewers at 8:10. Pirates have still not decided on who their pitcher is going to be for that game. Options are running thin, unfortunately, because of injuries with Billy Falter and Jones. Hopefully Falter gets better soon, so hope the best to him. But Colin Ray's on the hill for Milwaukee tonight. We don't know, obviously. Tomorrow night's at 8:10. Tilt in the Brew Crew Town, Milwaukee. Tobias Myers will pitch for the Brewers. Martin Perez on the bump for the Pirates. And then Thursday, it's a 2:10 game in Milwaukee. It's Skeens Day. Paul Skeens will pitch for us against Aaron Savale. So that's definitely good, that's for sure. And now we're on to the weekend. Friday night, we head a little bit south. We're just going to take about a 90-minute drive to the south to Chicago, Illinois, where we will match up against the White Sox. Our pitchers not starting Friday night, the 12th at 8:10. Our pitchers not yet decided for this game either. Chicago will be putting out their ace, Garrett Crusade. That'll be a good game for sure. Saturday is Mitch Keller against Jonathan Cannon of the White Sox, and that will be a 2:10 start on Saturday, July 13th. And then our last game before the All-Star break will be on July the 14th at 2:10 against these White Sox. Pirates don't have their pitcher decided yet. White Sox are expected to put out Chris Flexen for that game. Flexen. These White Sox pitchers, I just noticed, have some interesting names for the weekend. You see Crusade Friday night. Obviously, we all know what Crusade is. Saturday, Jonathan Cannon. If you guys watch football, you know that Jonathan Gannon, head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. So very similar name, just one letter throws them off. That's a little funny. And then on Sunday, Flexen. Those are some interesting names if you could ever think of. That's the one thing the White Sox are good at, having pitchers with interesting names. And considering they're 41 games under 500, that should be something positive if you're a White Sox fan. But anyway, let's think about these series. Let's digest them. This week against Milwaukee, I think the Brewers are going to take 2 out of 3, unfortunately. I just do, because look, Skeens is good, but I don't know if they're going to win on Thursday. Tomorrow night, I definitely don't think they're going to win, because Martin Perez is on the mound. I definitely don't think. So tonight and Thursday are your best bets to win. If we take one game against the Brewers, I'll be okay with that, because of the fact we have Chicago. So, think about it. I mean, don't be stupid here. That's not what they're doing. If we take 2 games from the Brewers, that would be amazing. We're not going to sweep them because we're not that team. But I see us only taking 1 game from Milwaukee, and that's unfortunate. So, that's what I think, unfortunately. So, hopefully they could prove me wrong and take 2. 2 would be nice. 1 would be okay, but as long as we don't get swept, that's the thing. This weekend, then, we got the White Sox. This should be a series we sweep. However, knowing the Pirates, I think we're only going to win 1 game this series. I do. We got swept by Oakland earlier this year. However, kudos to them, we did win a series in Colorado. So, we should be able to take 2 out of 3, but I only think we're going to take 1. Just because we suck against bad teams. But if we could take 2, or even free, which I know we do, but if we could take 2, I'd be happy. If we go 4-2 this road trip, that puts us at 47 and 49 going into the break. I would take that, especially if we win the series against the Phillies. So 4-2 this road trip would be great. However, I see the complete opposite happening. I see 2-4, which puts you in a further bind as we prepare for the best team in baseball in Philadelphia. That's just telling about this team. And that's the same thing, I know I talked about them earlier, but I'm going to have to relate again to the Steelers. They couldn't until Mason Rudolph came in and saved the season, they couldn't get on a long winning streak or a long losing streak. Because while the defense was phenomenal, the offense was stagnant. Pirates are the same way. They can't get on a long winning streak or a long losing streak. Because their pitching, aka their defense, is too good, but their hitting is stagnant and too bad. So that's the thing. 4 games would be nice. We could win 4 games this series on this trip. I'd be thrilled. So that's really all I'm asking for, and that's all I've got to say for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. I greatly appreciate you guys all. And we'll see you guys here next Sunday for the episode recapping Brewers White Sox and talk about the teams, the standings, the trade deadline, the players at the trade deadline. And then we'll look ahead to the All-Star game, the events after, and discuss the Pirates draft pick. And then the 21st, like I said, we're not filming. But starting the 28th, it's going to be, we're bringing the spreadsheet back. We're going the whole 9 yards, and that will take us to the end of the season, which is fastly approaching on September the 27th. Have a good one, everybody. Take care, stay safe, and as always, peace. See you guys Sunday night.